Hello, Uncle Jim here. Today I want to share with you how I did last month. I'm coming on nearly 2 years on my journey of learning how to sell options the right way. And this past month was one of my better months. I did over 3,000 in premium selling options, and I did actually 2,000 in dividends too. So I had over $5,000 for the month. I'm going to actually share my trades at the end of this video, and I'm going to talk about my strategies and how I was able to do that. So stay tuned. I think you're going to really enjoy what I have for you today. Now, before I jump into the actual trades, I do want to talk about the keys to generating good income selling options. First, I do want to mention I do this kind of in a passive manner. I do 3 to 4 trades a week, and my goal is 3,000 a month. So I encourage you, if you don't have goals, set a reasonable goal for how much you want to earn. And once I get to that point, and I've earned close to that amount, if it's a good month, then I pretty much don't do much more trading. I typically will wait and start trading again for the next month. I try not to be too greedy or try to make too many trades and get myself in a pickle. I also look at how much cash I can generate from each trade. I've been focusing on trying to get that around 200. Now I'm also, you'll notice in the spreadsheet that I go over later, I'm also looking at my return a little bit more, trying to be sure I'm getting a good return with these trades that I do make, and you'll notice that in the spreadsheet when I go over it. And then I also, patience is really a virtue with these kind of markets and it going up and down. One more day of waiting can make a big difference, and that's happened to me several times. One for instance is eBay. I was not able to roll it one day, and literally the next day I was able to roll it. There was enough premium to make it worth rolling it out another 2 weeks. So I found it makes a big difference with my trading, and I encourage everybody to, if there aren't trades out there, well, just go on, do something else, and come back another day. You don't necessarily have to make a trade. And again, I do 2 or 3 a week, and that's all I do. And then planning, I really put a lot of time into my planning, but I do make mistakes. When I made a mistake last week, I overlooked one of my covered calls, and it did get assigned to me. I think it was last week. It may have been 2 weeks ago. So even, I didn't do the due diligence. I think I forgot to look at one account and get that position on my weekly planning worksheet. And that's something else. Have a weekly planning worksheet where you're planning all your trades or positions coming up in the next week or two. I look 3 weeks out, and then I put anything on that spreadsheet that may be of concern. And it's made a big difference. I've been able to roll most of my trades, and I've had very few losses. So next, let's turn, and I want to talk just briefly about the worksheet before I jump into it. Now, I did 14 trades. Again, not many, 2 to 3 trades a week. I made over 3,000, 3,024, and I did an average of 216 per trade. My goal is 200 per trade, so that I actually did better than my goal, which was nice. And this was on one of the worst months of the year, probably of a long time. I believe the Dow was down 4.5%. I think the Nasdaq was down over 12%. S&P around 10 or 11%. So it was overall a pretty rough month in the market, and I was able to still make a little bit more money than I had the previous month. So I found it's, and I think I talked about this in my previous video, I was able to cushion my accounts in a way. By selling options, I automatically have more cash, which cushions you on a down market, and it's made a big difference with me. Well, let's jump into the spreadsheet next, and I'll go over each trade, and I'll talk about what decisions I made with that trade and why I decided to either roll it or to start a new position. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the next part of this video. Okay, I've opened up my monthly worksheet for April. Before we jump into the specific trades, I do want to mention I do have a Patreon. I have 2 different memberships. I've got kind of the basic membership where you're privy to all my trades, my spreadsheets, and any special content that I have on Patreon. And then I have a higher level membership, which includes Discord as well as a weekly meeting. And the weekly meetings have gotten really lively. The one we had yesterday was a good discussion. Actually, there's a couple people came up with some good improvements that I could make to the planning worksheet, and I'm going to actually make some improvements to that. And if you're a member, then you automatically get that planning worksheet. Um, and you get direct access to me. So if you need to contact me, I'm fairly easy to reach, and I typically will communicate back fairly quickly. So that being said, let's jump into the actual trade. So I've this is for April, and the first trade was Intel, and I rolled it. I rolled it from 414, and this was early April, and I rolled it out to only 3 weeks, out to May 6th, and I was able to bring in $308 in premium, which I believe, let's move over a little bit. Yeah, it was a 10% return. And that's assuming I can close the position, but it's based on the values, the premium, and how much I needed to actually do it. So it was actually 3 contracts, and it was about a 10% return over those 3 weeks. So not bad. Intel's been one of my favorite ones to trade. It's been hit kind of hard lately, so it's near 52-week lows. I believe it's come back up a little bit recently, but if you're looking for an inexpensive value company to invest in, Intel is a good one. It pays a fairly good dividend. I believe it's over 3%, and it's been hit hard because of supply chain, but I think at some point that's going to change. So if you're looking at the long haul, it's a great company to invest in. Next, I rolled a cash secured put in big. This is Big Lots, and I rolled it from 414 to 715. This is one that I'm deep in the money. This is, and you can see that by what I had to pay to actually roll it. So I had to close it. I had to pay nearly $800, but I got $939 by rolling it out. And now I did go a little bit farther out to get the premium, but I rolled it out to July 15th, and I picked up 141 in premium. And you can see it's not the greatest return when you base it on, it's a cash secured, yeah, it's a cash secured put. So it is using a little bit more capital, and because of that, it's a slower return. So compared to Intel, it's only a 1% return, but it's still cash, so, but 1% compared to 10% return, it's definitely nowhere near as good as the Intel one. And then I rolled a different big position, and I rolled it also out to July 15th, and I rolled it lower. Now, if I can roll lower, I will. So I rolled it from 40 to 37 and a half. Now, I believe it's come back some in the last couple of days. I think it may be approaching that 37 and a half. And I was able to pick up 192 and about 2% return. So, better than the 1%. But big, it's one of my problems. It's one that's been deep in the money, and it's really been hit by supply chain. It pays a good dividend, and I think it's a really good company. If once the supply chain issues slow down, then it may bounce back majorly. So again, it's a company that I like, and I'm not opposed to owning it at these prices. Next is eBay. This is one I've more recently gotten into a little bit of trouble with. It had some bad earnings, just like with Amazon, and it dove that day. I think it went down as much as 10%. So I rolled it from 414 to 520, and you can see how deep into the money it is. It's 2 contracts, but I spent 759 closing it, but I was able to open another contract expiring on May 20th, and I was able to pull in $172, and the return was 3%. So not bad, but eBay continued to go down. I believe it was right around 50 at this time, and I believe it's gone down to mid to low 40s. So this is my big issue. I'm going to have to determine. I think I rolled the 520 to expire next Friday, which is June 3rd. So I have to make a decision before June 3rd with what I want to do. Either let it be a sign, see if I can roll it again, or maybe come up with a different solution. Some people have suggested that why not roll it into a different security if I don't want eBay? So what's becoming critical for me is determining, do I want to own eBay? And I still like eBay. I use eBay. I've used eBay for years. I've got my own store that I sell stuff on, usually used computer equipment as well as some antiques. So that's eBay. I'll share in a future video what I end up doing, but it'll be interesting to see what I do decide. Right now I'm kind of thinking I may let it get assigned, but you know, I probably will make that decision fairly quickly here. So the next one is Cisco, and Cisco also got hit hard recently. They too have been, I think they made an announcement about next year being impacted because of what's going on with China, and I guess the Chinese lockdowns as well as the supply side. So it's also been hit kind of hard, but I was able to roll it from 414 to 520, and I kept it at the same strike prices, so 50 and 40. So the 50 is the short and the 40 is the put I purchased, and I was able to make 152 on 158.80 on it, which turned out to be a 5% return, which is pretty good. Now again, Cisco, I think it's gone down a bit more, so it's going to be a little bit harder to roll this next time, but it also has recovered in the last couple of days. So I think it's around 45, and I think I can roll it at that point. If it goes below 40, I'm going to have a tough time rolling it. So next I've got ASO, which is Academy Sports. This is a store I like. It's nearby. I shop at it regularly. And it's a cash secured. No, it's a put credit spread. So this is a new position that I opened, and I opened it on 4/21, expiring on 6/17. So almost 2 months, a little less than 2 months, and it was a delta of 0.208, so a 20 delta, which is what I like. I think I've actually mentioned in some previous videos, I'm trying to see if I can get more like a 15 delta, but most of my trades have stayed closer to 20. And I was able to pick up $213 in cash. And if this expires, then I would have picked up a 5% return. So not bad. Some people may say, well, that's not, and that's on a monthly basis. So I'm breaking that down by my monthly. So 5% monthly, if you can do that, that's like a 60% return over the year. That would be incredible. But again, it seems like with this down market, a lot of these returns people were making a year or two ago have come down tremendously. And I think trying to get too high returns will cause you to get into trouble, and it'd be hard to find trades, and if you got into the trades, you could potentially get into trouble. So next, let's turn to Ford. I rolled a cash secured put in Ford, and being that Ford is so inexpensive compared to some of the others at 1,600 or $16, which you need 1,600 per contract, $100 or 100 times 16, which is 1,600, and I have three of these. So I rolled it from 429 out to 617. I was able to pick up $158 in premium. I kept the same strike price. Now Ford has gone down quite a bit more. I think it's around 12.5 currently. But if I can still roll it and make some premium, then I'm okay with it. And just like Intel, I'm okay with owning Ford. So I believe I did get some assigned to me in one of my retirement accounts. So I do own, I believe, 300 shares in one of my retirement accounts. I believe it's my Roth IRA that, yeah, I own 300 shares there. With this, that's like a 2% return. And you'll notice all these cash secured puts have a lower return based on the capital. And I may not have this calculation completely right. I may need to look at that a little bit more, but that's what it's showing me. And that's on a monthly basis. So that'd be like a 22%. If I was able to make this trade every 2 months or so, I would be able to do close to a 22% return with it. Of course, that's only if it stays in that price range. The fact that it's dropped, it's going to be hard to continue to make or continue to be able to roll it like I have in the past. So next is a new vertical put credit spread. It's Apple, and let's see, I opened a position that expires on 520 on 426, I believe that is, so a little less than a month. And I picked up $207, and that is a 10% return. I believe this Apple position has expired, and I did actually open another one, but it's a different trade. So this one I already know is truly 10%. So that's I've been able to be really successful with Apple, and here I did a little bit of a lower delta. I did 0.165 or a 16 delta, 16 and a half delta. And by taking that little bit of risk and still be able to get pretty good premium, it's worked out really well for me. And it's one of the highest returns that I've had this month. Um, so Apple, and again, I continue to trade it, and I believe it's come up. It went down where it was in the money at one point. Now I believe I rolled it. I opened a new position in early May, and I think I've actually rolled that position already because Apple came down quite a bit. So I'm real excited about Apple if it gets down to the 120, 125 range. It's a great company. So I'm going to continue trading with it, and you know it'll be interesting to see what happens with the market. But I'm going to keep trying to get it at a lower and lower price. So let's move on. So the next one is I rolled a vertical put credit spread, and this is Micron, and I rolled it from 4.8 to 5.13. So again, not quite a month. And I was able to bring in $234 with a roll, which is really good, which equates to a 12% return. And Micron's another one like Apple. It just seems to pay such good premium. And this is, I think, the second or third trade I've done with Micron, and I've been able to do quite well with these. This is the reason it's in green is it's my highest return. It's 12%. Um, and if you think about that on a yearly basis, it would kind of blow your mind. But again, it's kind of unusual, and with a major downturn, I believe Micron is down lower than it was at this point. You can see the pricing was pretty inexpensive for the premium. I believe it's come down to below 70, so I think it is in the money, but I should be able to roll it again. I've typically had no problem rolling Micron. So next I've got Coca-Cola. This is, like I've talked about before, I inherited a bunch of Coca-Cola. The cost basis is so low that this is one way I'm able to make some income with it. I'd take a huge tax hit if I sold it. Now I do sell some from time to time, but my goal is to let my son inherit this and teach him how to sell options too, and he can do the same thing. It's a way to, when you've inherited something that's got such a low cost basis. Most of my Coke was given to me by my grandfather almost 40 years ago. So, and then let's see, the strike was at 75. I opened it. It doesn't expire, so this is a leap. It wouldn't expire till 6/16/23, and it paid 130 for each, or 130 for each, which equated to 298. So not bad. It nearly $300, and I didn't put a return here. I'm not sure why I did that, but I need to come back, and I wasn't quite sure how to do the return for a covered call, but I don't really worry as much about returns with Coca-Cola. I do think I calculated it below. Somehow I missed this one. So let's move on. And Coca-Cola is near its all-time high. It's still around 64, 65. I think it got as high as 67. And it's kind of bucking the trend. The rest of the market's going down, and it seems to be doing pretty well, similar to the energy companies. So if you're looking, for a good, healthy company too, Coca-Cola is a good, healthy company to invest in. So next is, what is that? Procter and Gamble. I rolled a cover call, and this one was actually in the money, just like Coca-Cola. Procter and Gamble it's done really well. I believe at this point, yeah, because I paid $10, so I think it was closer to 160. So it it was deep in the money, but I was still able to roll it. I did kind of roll it way out there to 6/16/23, and did quite well with it. I did made over 415, and it gave me the ability, since I own these shares already, to you know to give myself more time to figure out a way if it keeps going up. So I believe it's come down though recently. I believe it's more like 150, 145, 150. So I do have a little bit more room there, and I'm still getting the dividends, which is good. And the return for this was 2%. So not bad. It's a company I've owned for a long time. I think I might have owned it for like 15 or 20 years. So it's also got a real low cost basis. Next is I rolled a covered call for Coca-Cola, and I've not had a tough time rolling these fairly deep in the money Coca-Cola options that I've done in the past. I did roll it out fairly far, 120.23 from 422, and I do have two contracts, but I was able to make $163, which isn't bad, which equates to like a 2% return. So I was able to calculate. I believe I took into consideration the number of days, um, how short this potential trade was, and could base it on that. So that's how I came up with the 2%. But, it doesn't compare with the 12% I had on Micron. But again, I look at Coca-Cola kind of right selling these covered calls as a way to generate cash. And my goal currently is to just keep rolling up higher and higher. And I haven't had any of them get assigned in a long time. I think it's been almost 5 years that I've had any Coca-Cola get assigned. So I'm pretty consistently able to roll them. So I've got one more position, I believe, in June that's 60, and I'll roll that up to 62 and a half to 65, and I'm able to keep rolling them every month and make some pretty good income on them. So next I've got IRobot. I rolled a cash secure put with it. And iRobot moves a lot. It goes up and down. It's very volatile, and because of that, it pays really good premium. So I closed the 429, and I picked up the 520 for the expiration, and premium I picked up 218. So a little shorter than a month, but being that it's a cash secured put, I do have more. I've got 5,300 in cash or leverage that I had to use, and that's why it's 4%. If I had bought the put, like a farther out put, that would have been up there probably close to 10 or 12% too. But again, since this is a cash secured put, the return is a bit lower. So, and iRobot I've done really well with it. I've been able to roll it every time. I think I've done 6 or 7 trades with it, or rolls with it, and every time I've been able to make fairly good premium with it. So not bad. And another Coca-Cola, sold this one to open at 75, which Coca-Cola again is around 64 currently. This one I went again out to 120.23, and it's one contract, and I picked up $139, and it's like a 3% return. So again, I've talked about Coca-Cola, so I won't jump into that. And then for the month, I had over 2,091 in dividends. So between my premium total, which was 324, I made a total of $5,115 between my dividends and premium, which is one of my better months. So you can see, and here's the actual value of the account. And that's as of today. It's 606,000, but I've got close to 160,000 in cash, which if I wasn't selling options, I would have nowhere near that amount of cash. I probably would have had maybe 75,000, and I would have probably taken a bigger loss. And then here you can see for the month I did on a yearly basis like a 6%. So if you're looking at something like the 4% rule, with just selling premium, I was able to do 6%. This doesn't include dividends. I believe it's just looking at this number here. And then if you look, I also put my totals for the last 4 months, and I've been pretty close. I've done over 3,000 3 of the 4 months. I did back in March, I only did 2541, but the total was 11,613, and I believe I haven't had any losses in that time frame, at least in these two brokerage accounts. And on the average was 2,000, what is that, 2,903. So pretty close to my 3,000 goal, I think I said my goal early on in the year was between 2,500 and 3,000. So, not bad. It's again, I'm kind of amazed at how much cash you can generate. And here are just the notes. So I had four covered calls, four cash secured puts, and six vertical put credit spreads. So majority 10 of the 14 were puts and only four covered calls. And I think three of those four covered calls were Coca-Cola. So I did 10 rolls. So I did a majority was rolling. And that's what I'm finding every month is most of my positions I'm rolling and I'm making fairly good premium income just for those rolls. I only had four new trades. So, and then let's see, I did five trades on April 5th. So most of my trades, almost half the trades were done I think I did, yeah, I did five on April 5th, and I think I did two on April 6th. So half my trades I did in the first week. And then, after that, it was just kind of very passive, a few trades here and there. And that's all I needed. I only need around 3,000 a month. I'm not doing this to try to get rich, mainly because I know you can get yourself in trouble if you take too much risk or you try to get ahead of yourself. So even after nearly 2 years, it's still a learning process for me. I'm still learning every week, and these weekly phone calls have been a godsend. And we have some great discussions. We can help each other if we've got positions that are deep in the money. We talked yesterday about several people's positions they had, and one person actually had to get off the phone and run a trade pretty quickly in order to roll something that they could have potentially had assigned. So, and then let's see, I stayed very close to 20 delta. So I believe this month I was like 0.203 or something. And during this down market, I'm going to continually try to lower that. I think before this year, it was more like 2.3, like a 23 delta. So I would really like it to be more like an 18 delta, like 0.18 along those lines. So that's it. That's what happened in April. It was a good month. It was kind of a crazy month. And if anything, it made me realize, the fact that you can cushion your account, you can have extra cash, and you can, sell these options at opportune times. If you need a little bit extra cash for, a gift or a trip or something like that, it's relatively easy to sell a little bit more at a certain time to bring in some nice income. It really does a nice job generating income. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.